All right, contestants. It's been a great game so far today, but it is all tied up. So it is now time for our. You got it, our lightning round. So in today's category is emperors. So can you keep up? Coming to you now, Roman emperors. All right, so we're going to talk real quick about a bunch of different emperors. We're going to go in order of which they came, but we're not going to talk about every emperor. We've already talked about the Julio-Claudian emperors. You can go watch that video. We're going to pick up with the Flavian Dynasty. Nero died, and there was no heir. Because remember, they killed his wife and his child during a rebellion. And then when he killed himself, there was no emperor and no heir left. And that ended the reign of the Julio-Claudians. Uh, there was a fight over some major generals trying to take control and power. Uh, you had four emperors within 1 year. But finally, one won out, Vespasian. Uh, and he became the new emperor, and he added stability to the realm of Rome, and this began the Flavian dynasty of emperors. Vespasian, he was only emperor from 69 to 79 A.D., so about a 10-year span, and he was a very famous general. He brought great stability uh, over this time period because you'd had Caligula. Claudius brought some stability back and, reaffirmed the emperor. But then you had Nero, who was all crazy. Then you had the year of four emperors. And so there was some great instability in Rome. And this 10-year period of Vespasian, uh, he did a good job of making the empire strong again and making it stable. Um, and he built the Colosseum. We all know the Colosseum, the big fancy Colosseum of Rome, where the gladiator matches and things were held. He died of illness. Titus, one of the sons of Vespasian, became emperor from 79 to 81 AD. During his reign is when Mount Vesuvius erupts and it destroys the city of Pompeii. And they actually have that new movie about to come out, Pompeii. Uh, where it discusses that. But Pompeii is a very interesting city. There was a big tragedy in the empire at the time. But Titus dies of illness as well, and he had no heir. So his brother Domitian. Domitian becomes emperor, and he is also a son of Vespasian. Uh, Domitian actually went on to persecute a lot of the Christians. Uh, Throughout all the different emperors, Christians were persecuted on and off. Okay, some emperors persecuted them way more, some didn't. Such as like Augustus and them. They didn't really care about Christianity. Christianity hadn't really uh, taken off uh, by his time. Whereas these later on emperors, Christianity's growing, and they would blame some things on Christianity and use them as scapegoats and therefore. Um, but Domitian was not one of the great emperors. He did a lot of things, but he wasn't well liked. Uh, and he wound up being stabbed to death by his house workers. Okay. Uh, his persecution of the Christians was pretty extent. A lot of people didn't like him. Uh, and he had no heir, so when he was killed, this ended the line of the Flavians. So now we've been through the Julio-Claudian dynasty, the Flavian dynasty. Now we're going to talk about the five good emperors. After the Flavians ended, there was a period of non-related heirs, also known as the adoptive emperors, because they adopted the person best fit to become the next emperor. And these all were, as it says, five good emperors. Nerva, from 96 to 98 AD, he had had a lifetime of imperial service. He was chosen by the Senate. Uh, He had no heirs, and so he adopted Trajan. Trajan was a general, uh, and he adopted Trajan and began teaching him to become the next emperor. Uh, Nerva died of natural causes. Notice that's one of the first natural causes we've had in a while. Well, some of the illness is kind of natural causes, but he lived a nice long life, which is not something all Roman emperors do. Trajan, from 98 to 117 AD, so he, ruled for almost 20 years. He is seen as the second greatest emperor, only to Augustus. Okay, so like I said, Augustus is a lot of times seen is the number one emperor of the Roman Empire. Trajan would be the second on most of these lists. He had as well no children, and he had real big pushes of helping the poor and pushed education. A lot of the emperors that were seen as these great emperors, a lot of the times, really focused on a lot of the domestic problems and tried to help out the people of Rome. Or the citizens of Rome. And remember, citizenship is widespread throughout all the Roman provinces. If you could get citizenship, it opens you up to a lot of possibilities. He adopted Hadrian, who would go on to become the next emperor, and Trajan died of illness. Hadrian, 117 AD to 138 AD. He was Trajan's cousin's son. Okay. So there was maybe a little relation there, but he was best fit to be the next emperor. He was a patron of the arts. He made Roman law easier to understand. He simplified a lot of the laws so they were much more understandable. He built what's something famously known as Hadrian's Wall across Britain. It was they conquered so much of Britain, and they had lost a lot of what they had conquered, and they conquered so much back. And he builds this wall to help prevent it. Now, it's not a very tall wall, so but it did help with the defenses somewhat. And it's part of it you can still see there today, and you can see a picture, an example of it here. Um, he adopted Antonius Pius, and Hadrian died of natural causes. Um, Antonius Pius in 138 AD to 161 AD. He helped orphans. He built public buildings. He adopted Marcus Aurelius, and he died of natural causes. So see, these good emperors got good endings. So Marcus Aurelius, 161 AD to 180 AD. And if you remember, we talked previously about Pax Romana, which Roman peace is what it translates. But kind of like the golden age of Rome, or the Roman Empire. This 180 AD is the end of that. And if you notice, it coincides with the death of Marcus Aurelius. And if you've been counting, he is the fifth um, good emperor. He also persecuted Christians. He was a philosopher emperor, and he tries to reestablish dynastic rule. And if you watch the movie The Gladiator with Russell Crowe, Marcus Aurelius is the emperor in that movie, who tries to leave it to Russell Crowe and then his son Joaquin Phoenix. So now that movie is fiction. Marcus Aurelius actually wants to try to reestablish dynastic rule and set up his son to become the next emperor. Well, with his death brings an end to Pax Romana and the decline of the Roman Empire. It kind of just starts going downhill from there. And the only other emperor we're actually going to talk about and mention is Constantine. And I am talking about this Constantine here, not this Constantine here, though I did enjoy that movie. 306 AD to 337 AD. So Constantine does rule for quite a bit of time. He is the first Christian emperor. Now, there's a lot of confusion a lot of times, and I've seen a lot of people make mistakes on this. He did not declare Christianity as the official religion of Rome. That does not happen under Constantine. Constantine is the first emperor that is a Christian, and he gives religious freedom. Okay, he makes it not illegal to follow Christianity, because by this time it had been illegal to follow Christianity uh, or anything else besides the actual worship of the Roman gods. Um However, after Constantine, with the Edict of Milan, comes the making of Christianity as the official religion. Constantine does not do that, okay? That is actually after Constantine's death that happens. However, he is the Christian emperor. He is the first emperor who was a Christian. Okay, please try to keep that straight. But if you ever see somewhere on a test or so forth, and I've seen tests ask this, and the only answer that is feasible is Constantine, then choose Constantine, because a lot of people have been misled by this. Um, Constantine, however, did not make Christianity the official religion. He just gave you religious freedom so you could worship it. The other big thing Constantine did was he moved the capital of Rome from Rome to Constantinople, which was Byzantine. It had been Byzantine during the Byzantium Empire. Um, it Constantine changes it to Constantinople. Today we call it Istanbul. Okay, you goes on to be kind of the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire. But you'll have the split. The Roman Empire kind of splits to the western and the eastern part, um, and Constantinople becomes kind of that capital whenever that happens, and Rome the capital of the western. Um, but that kind of ends those, and until next time, deuces.